Hail, loyal subjects of the Terran Empire. Let's take a look at the latest Discovery Season 3 episode, Terra Firma Part 2. There will be spoilers for episode 10 following. The inverted opening was, well, I'd say it was cool, but all the visuals were just the same, just flipped, so it was sort of just there. First up though, I'm going to jump into the nature of Carl, and for those who guessed he was the Guardian of Forever, well done. I was expecting a Tkon portal, but he is the time-space gateway itself. We are told that the Guardian is not only capable of relocating itself, but also altering its very form to obscure and hide its presence. This it did, jumping from its original home near the Alpha Quadrant, which never had a canon name or location, to the deep outskirts of the Gamma Quadrant. The 5-million-year-old structure decided to remove the temptation it presented during the Temporal Wars, as many of the factions would attempt to use its functionality as an easy method of unregulated time travel. I love this use of established lore, properly explored and added to. Its location was extrapolated by the sphere data, and there we go, although it seems to promptly jump away on concluding its business with Georgiou. It makes reference that centuries ago it would allow mostly free use of it, if any issues were fixed, alluding to its use in the city on the edge of forever. Seems that its self-imposed isolation is due to it taking on a greater responsibility this time before allowing its use, as it tests Georgiou by dropping her into a time of her old mirror universe for 3 months to see how she has changed from her experiences in the Prime. Literally, Georgiou's whole arc has led to this moment, to see how much she has changed, and she finally confirms that she is a different person than the Empress that she had been, even though it leads to her death. The mirror universe at this point is fully invested in the notion that might is right, and that expansion and conquest can last forever, an idea that Georgiou rose to power herself spreading. This sort of mentality will only breed conflict and create a self-fulfilling cycle, as a tighter grip leads to more resistance, and round it goes until something gives and it all spirals apart. Georgiou's attempts to alter the Empire gradually are admirable, but the tragedy of the mirror universe is that it has spent so long building that wheel that they have to keep it spinning. When Mirror Spock finally manages to break that cycle years down the line, what happens? The bad blood the Terrans fostered comes back to bite them, and the Empire falls to an alliance of Klingons and Cardassians, among many others. The futility of this is reflected in her attempted redemption of Burnham. Speaking of, we hear the tale of how Georgiou misses Michael's night terrors, as it was during those episodes that the Empress was able to comfort her daughter, which is a pretty messed up statement to make and a rather selfish one. But that's the mirror universe for you. Even the pureness of love is twisted in dark ways. At least she gets to say goodbye this time to her daughter, then to who her daughter could have been. As to whether or not her attempts at change have altered the mirror universe's timeline, well, the Guardian of Forever confirms that she was indeed sent to a mirror universe, where an Empress Georgiou died. That interpretation is a little vague, so she may have created a second mirror timeline splintered off from the first. Either way, there is no cure for her condition, as the mirror universe she is originally from is too far removed from the Prime by the 32nd century. The Guardian, convinced that she at least is now more responsible, and not as cruel as she had been, decides that he can safely deposit her at an undisclosed time in the past, when the Prime and Mirror universes are closer together. Maybe a Section 31 spin-off show. But wouldn't it be strange if she was sent back to, I don't know, a pre-Mirror Prime split or something? That would have to be 1900s. During her time in the Mirror universe, the Empress goes out of her way to subtly try to swing the Empire in a less tyrannical direction, pointing out how allowing some freedoms under the Empire's dominion would probably lessen the amount of rebellion. This episode brought into contrast her character development more for me, as I've had a pretty hard time liking Georgiou so far, but to deny her any growth would be incorrect. She definitely gained perspective, and her treatment of Mirror Saru was pretty much kind. I will say that the tearful farewell that the crew held for Georgiou didn't do much for me. Probably because I've never really warmed to her character, but I found the quiet goodbye between Burnham and Georgiou at the Guardian a better send-off. She gives a Terran salute, but with a genuine smile and respect, and it's returned by Burnham's Vulcan farewell. Oh, and Ellen Landry was done a dirty again. She cannot catch a break. Season 1, the poor choice was made to have her attack a creature she knew from first-hand experience was immune to phaser fire, then Mirror Landry was killed in Lorca's coup, and now again. Back in the Prime reality, however, we're gearing up for this confrontation with the Emerald Chain. However, Admiral Vance is worried that the chain will target Discovery for its spore drive, and that Captain Saru might be allowing his personal feelings to interfere with his duty. Personally, I think Saru is affected by the desire to reunify with any Kelpians he can, but I don't think he's in danger of compromising anything. The Admiral's fear is warranted, although it comes off a little paranoid, but it's well deserved, as he's been operating a survival mode Starfleet for years now. Book actually gets something to do here too, and honestly I'm surprised. I was expecting him to act a little more like Burnham. When Saru told him to go read the field manual, he actually did familiarise himself with Discovery's systems in Starfleet protocol. But on top of this, he has the benefit of actually being a 32nd century native. With the engineering team trying to establish connections to the KSF Kiev, he actually chimes in with current era knowledge and courier-learned shortcuts into extending the Discovery's range. However, we'll see if the Admiral's concerns about the Emerald Chain tracing Discovery through their use of the chain booster are warranted. As smart as the Discovery crew is, Book's actions prove that they still have a lot to learn about the finer details of 32nd century tech. They may have overlooked something. Nevertheless, Booker's actions prove his sincerity at aiding the Federation and finding a place on the ship, if not as an officer, as an ally at least. Reno makes a return for a bit, and it is appreciated, having been squirreled away managing further conversions of the Discovery from plasma-based tech to polaric-based energy. This is a major advancement in tech, as polaric radiation and molecules are generally unstable in normal space-time, and for the short time they are present can destabilise it, causing all sorts of temporal effects. The fact that Starfleet is able to stabilise and use this form of energy is light years beyond TNG-era knowledge. Although I wish they'd stop using that through the hull panning shots of the Discovery. ISS or USS doesn't matter, but it makes it look like it only has one deck and is filled with empty space. This episode was not as strong a conclusion as I'd hoped from the Mirror Universe segue, but it had its high points, the Guardian of Forever standing out among them. The answers to the burn are inching ever closer, but the progress towards this was frustratingly slow this episode, although that was to be expected based off the last part. Georgiou's farewell was well handled, but I think the send-off afterwards was a little unnecessary, but that's because I wasn't really a fan of the character. I'm curious how Empress fans felt about it. Did it work for you? So thanks for watching this video review on Discovery's Season 3 Episode 10. With only 3 left, I'm expecting a rollercoaster ride until the finale, as has been Discovery's MO so far. But I hope they can stick it this time. The last season had me right up until the final act, and so far I've been appreciating this ride we're on. So until then, thanks again, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.